Hello again, traders, and welcome out. This is Sankit from Maverick Currencies, and this is a market roundup for Monday, July the 18th. There's a lot to talk about, quite a day in the market, so let's get into it and take a look at the markets, talk about our outlook for the upcoming 24 hours, and take a look at some of the key technical setups that we're looking at on some charts here. So let's do a quick market analysis. It was a bit of a turnaround day in the market, so we started off with a nice gap, 1% higher, and we were unable to hold again. So you can see that the U-turn that the market took, and we actually did pull back. So notice that the pullback is actually coming right off this downward trend line that we have been in since April. So we are in this little congestion area in the markets that we probably go back and forth until we see a breakout one way or the other. I mean, at this point, we are above the 20, below the 50, the moving average is actually kind of going flatlining here. So this is a very typical sideways price action, and we want to be more flexible with this kind of market environment and not really get committed too bullish or too bearish, because market will tend to do these reversals both on the upside and the downside. I mean, when we have very ugly day over here, we did reverse, and now we have a very positive day, we reverse. So just be prepared for this kind of market volatility, especially in the coming weeks until we get this breakout out of the way. Now, looking at the performance across the board, I mean, we have VT was actually down as well. SPX was down 0.84%. So, I mean, considering 1% higher, we're looking at about a 2% move in the equity markets. The shining star today was really the crypto markets. I mean, we've seen the crypto lagging for the most part, and we discussed this in our currency room on the weekend, and we did like Ethereum, and that was really the best performer. But outside of that, across the board, the crypto actually caught a nice bid. Gold was actually flat, and oil is now up to 4.61%. So overall, a decent day, especially if you were active in the markets. And I think this is the kind of markets we need to be prepared and brace for volatility, because this is where we actually get some nice intraday movements. But if you're trying to find a good direction and hold that position, it could be challenging. And that's just the market condition that we are in. As our score, as the outlook, again, we are, like I said, we are right above or at the 20 SMA, below 50. The slope line is actually not as sloping downward. So I think this is a 0 to a +1 outlook for me. I think but this is just a Monday, we could still see a bounce back tomorrow. But this is where we probably see a back and forth price action. If you're looking for news event or volatility around news events, I think the ECB on a Thursday is really the one that everyone's paying attention to. We caught a nice bid in euro today, and then that's happening in lieu of having that big event on a Thursday. So there's a lot of setups that we need to pay attention to and take a look at both case scenarios. What if it's stronger the euro? What if it's weaker the euro? Outside of those two, we have CPI numbers out of UK and Canada. And I think another one of them paying attention to is the Bank of Japan outlook report. Remember, Bank of Japan is also one of those ultra dovish banks. So if they do make a move, or there's a sort of policy change or intervention, that would cause a big change in the Japanese yen. So we still need to be cautious about that whenever we hit this extreme levels, which we have seen in the Japanese yen. That's where it's going to have these risks for intervention. So we'll be paying attention to that one as well. So if you're looking for news events, Wednesday and Thursday is really the more active days. Outside of that, I think markets are moving very well along the market. So we are seeing a positive correlation where a risk-off sentiment, we see the currency moves, and we actually see a risk-on sentiment and the currency market move accordingly. So we need to pay attention to that correlation. Now, let's do a quick currency analysis and take a look at percentage change, both in the cryptocurrency world and foreign currency world. You can see that Ethereum was really the big leader there with 9.47%. We did notice the Ethereum was really at the breakout point on the weekend when we look at the charts, and we actually got a nice breakout there. So it's impressive to have this move, but I think the important thing to pay attention to is if there's a follow through. And that's what we're looking for, a trend changing move. We need to get a higher high and a higher low. So we have seen all these big moves happen in currency market in the crypto markets, but they end up reversing. So we need the crypto market to actually hold these gains, and that will be an indication that maybe we are in for a higher highs and higher lows. But overall, it was a bit of a bright day for any crypto traders that are waiting for some reversals to take place. Now, in the currency world, I mean, if I had taken a look at this chart, we would have had totally different results than what we have right now. I mean, we had Aussie being the strongest. You can see that it actually did pull back a little bit towards the end of the day. And then here we have Canadian dollar. It did pull back as well. The Kiwi actually did really well in the Asian market yesterday. And then it actually was underperforming entire overnight and during the day today. Now, outside of that, the dollar was actually down quite a bit. I think it was down close to 0.7%. So it did made a nice little reversal. Swiss franc actually was able to just pull back further. I think the Swiss franc is really what I like on the short side. The dollar could be just a buying opportunity because the overall trend remains to the upside. And surprisingly, Japanese yen didn't really do much today. It was a flat day in the Japanese yen. So the really big move came from the euro and the pound. And notice that they did still end up closing on or holding on to a lot of gains. But this was a counter trend move that we saw in the markets. The dollar was strong on a trend, did pull back. Euro, pound, they've been actually weak on the trend, and the velocity was up to the upside today. So, I mean, whenever you're looking for shorter term trades where we see these counter trend moves, it's better to either not get triggered because you'd never get a confirmation, things are just moving in the other way, or it just provides a smaller, shorter term opportunity to play that reversal. But overall, keep in mind, the trend really hasn't changed. So if you're looking for a trend change, we need to get more confirmation towards it. So as far as the velocity score goes, again, Ethereum on the +3, a lot of the cryptocurrency are on the +2. The euro and the pound is +2, even though the trend score is actually onto the opposite side. So you can see that there's a lot of shift that took place. And if you're still trading with a trend, again, I think this is today was just the day where you didn't get any triggers. On the other hand, if you're trading short-term reversals, today was a good day because dollar had a nice pullback, and then it did actually reverse as the market reversed towards the end of the day. So we actually got a lot of back and forth movement. So intraday trading was good. If you're looking for something to develop and hold overnight till tomorrow, again, hold the trade for multiple days, this might not be the best condition for it because you might get this back and forth price action. So it's better to pay attention to velocity in those shorter term trades. And if you're looking for longer term trades, and the velocity will tell you if this is the right time to enter or not. And today was not the day to enter those trades. So let's talk about possible trades in the upcoming 24 hours, things that I'm looking at, especially when it comes to, you can see that the dollar actually made a nice little rally overnight. I mean, it doesn't matter which currency pair we take a look at. We have pound dollar, we have the euro dollar, we have Kiwi. I mean, Kiwi dollar also made a nice reversal. Actually did pull back a little bit here. But Australian dollar, you can see that they all have made a nice reversal even overnight, and then they actually closed up on the negative side. So even currency pair like dollar CAD, you can see dollar CAD has made a massive reversal from hitting that breakout point at 132 almost down to 129, and here it's sitting at about 129.76. So this is in a wide range, but volatility is really the name of the game here. So you need to pay attention to those trades, and if the movement is happening on the opposite side, then you just take a break there. If you're looking for any dollar crosses, I think dollar Swiss franc still looks the best to me. I mean, this thing has actually held in the best overall. You can see it was still actually plus 0.15%. But outside of that, we didn't really see a whole lot that actually did hold. But if you take a look at the shorter term charts intraday today, I mean, you can see the reversals that we're talking about. I mean, we were actually in a downward momentum. We did pull back, so it's almost an 80 pip move to the downside with almost a full recovery from where we started off this morning. So you can see that these are powerful moves. And same thing, if you take a look at Aussie USD, we actually started off very nicely overnight. We rallied, and then here we are. Opened up, the market opened up as the market started to reverse. This thing started to reverse as well. So notice that we are noticing a correlation. As the risk sentiment is turning sour, we're seeing this pull back. When the risk sentiment was strong overnight into this morning, the Aussie was actually running. So I think if you're trading this some of these currencies, I think pay attention to risk trends. If the sentiment is still negative, then we need to be short the Aussie, short some of these growth currencies. And on the other hand, if the markets are rallying, then we can actually look at on the other side. So the question is, what do we look at in the next 24 hours? Now let's take a look at it as a basket. Now, if you take a look at dollar basket, I mean, on a 4-hour chart, I mean, you can see that this was a nice little pullback with a bit of a reversal towards the end of the day. So is this pullback a buying opportunity? But overall, if you see the trend, each time the dollar's pulled back, it's been able to rally. In order to establish a trend change, we need a lower high and a lower low. So at this point, I do like dollar to the upside, but we still have the resistance in place. But I think in the short term, we can see the dollar actually rally, especially based on the market close today, and tomorrow will be another day to tackle. Now, looking at the trend today, I mean, you can see that it actually broke that trend. So maybe we'll go sideways to higher in the next 24 hours until the market opens up tomorrow. So that's the pair or the what I'm looking at. I mean, we have the Japanese yen rally a little bit here, but I mean, at this point, you can see that it's hard to catch. It's better to short the yen instead of buying the yen on these dips, because we're really not seeing a higher high or a higher low. I mean, remember back in May, when we got that big move here, got a nice little reversal that took place, and that happened for a little couple of weeks period. But if you look at now, this is sideways price action. So not so great price action over here. But I do like, right over here too, you can see that there's been nice rallies. This is just a range bound price action with not a whole lot of upside, and we have a downside or the support level inside over here. So let's talk about what pairs that I really like here in the next 24 hours. I like the fact that dollar CAD is the one that I've been paying attention to since it broke out. Massive reversal here. I actually do like it further on the upside. I want to see if this actually breaks out further. I mean, you can see the downward trend over here. If it breaks out above this 130 level, I think I'd like to play it against the 130.60, which is the level of resistance. But if this can get above that 130.60, I think then we can go back towards that 132 level. So I do like dollar CAD over here. Now let's talk about other currencies like Aussie dollar. You can see that the Aussie dollar just pulled back, but at this point, it might just make a little base here. If it does break the lows of the day today, we'd like it further to the downside. But if you look at Kiwi dollar, I mean, that looks a lot more weaker to me. I mean, it seems like the Kiwi can't catch a break, even though they've gone with the rate hikes. And even yesterday, notice the price action was actually really strong overnight. I mean, this is the price action that we had last night. I mean, beautiful price action. We had a little bit of a pullback over here, a rally once again, but after that you can see that it just kind of gave up all the gains. So at this point, I don't really like Kiwi onto the long side. I think Kiwi dollar short here actually looks decent to me, especially if it breaks below this parabolic SAR 4-hour chart. I mean, we are at the top end of the range on a 4-hour chart. At the bottom end of the range, we're looking at 61 area. So there's a decent risk to reward, at least 2-to-1 on this trade. Now let's talk about other trades. Like dollar Swiss franc. I mean, this thing has, as you can see, pulled back nicely here. So I do like this on a reversal as well. And if you take a look at Swiss franc basket, and this is where we are not seeing the Swiss franc moving the way it has been. I mean, look at the May and June. This was been on a fire. I mean, same thing happened in June. We stayed up for these levels, and then we just pulled back. And then here we are, the Swiss franc surprises everybody, and we had a massive move over here. But as you can see right now, it's establishing a lower high and a lower low. So if you're looking for any sort of short trade in the Swiss franc, I mean, I do like dollar Swiss franc. And even though we can take a look at Swiss franc yen, I know we have the yen on the upside here, but I mean, this might be establishing a lower high to me here. So I do like Swiss franc. And even though if you take a look at pairs like Aussie Swiss franc, you notice that it's actually not weakening as much. and it's actually trying to make a rebound a little bit here. So it depends on what you really want to pair with. I mean, even Euro Swiss franc, you can see that this has been below the parity level for a few days or maybe a couple of weeks, and it's actually made a nice little reversal today. So even against the Euro Swiss franc actually looks a little promising to me as well. The question is that, do we want to even stick our neck out for the euro ahead of the ECB? Well, the answer is no, because I think there is a lot of volatility to ensue ahead of this ECB press conference. And especially if you take a look at Euro USD, a massive move today across the board. And you can see it actually rallied from the parity level now to 101.43. Earlier today was almost at that 102 level. In the hindsight, again, I think this is still a bear rally. It still looks like a bear rally to me. So if you're a trend follower, then you're looking for this bear rally to complete in order to short again. So I think there's decent trades to be had here, but you just have to be a little bit more patient for those trades to actually come by. But outside of that, I think there's still decent opportunities in the next 24 hours. Just play the relative strength of weakness. We're not really seeing a whole lot of turnaround in the markets, but we are seeing certain currencies come into play and they kind of go out of play. So this is, I think, the best strategy for this market environment is short term. So you're not really committed to a direction one way or the other, but you're just taking advantage of that opportunity. And you can see that there's decent opportunity to be had if you're trying to play that game. But if you're trying to play the trend, then just wait for those setups to kind of come along to enter. Well, that's the game plan here. Again, in the next 24 hours, again, market likely to stay volatile. We had a down day today. We could maybe start off with a negative day tomorrow and maybe start to reverse tomorrow again. That's the kind of price action I'm expecting. So currencies are following risk sentiment. So we actually want to play that correlation. Remember, there are times when these correlations don't work, and we just have to pay attention to individual relative strength of weakness. Now we're getting that push from the markets. That's a good thing. So pay attention to the equity markets, intraday movements, in order to make sure that you're on the right side of the markets. Thanks everyone for joining. Have a great rest of the evening. We'll see you guys in the next update. Cheers.